Hey everybody, I know that it is not the timing that I posted yesterday to do Meals with Melissa, but for some odd reason I just got the whole time change. I'm in Boise, Idaho. We had a great time last night at the Idaho Cup. We had some great competitors that did really well, and for some odd reason I just was going the wrong direction when it comes to time. And so because we're trying to leave town, but because I want to show this to you, we're going to do it a little bit early today. So today we are doing sugar-free candied pecans. Now I'm doing it because the holidays are coming so fast. I think Halloween was slightly anticlimactic, but it's always great to have something on hand that's a little healthier and that you can whip up in a really short amount of time for the people that are coming over if you're having a party or a get together. And of course, we're going to eat enough sugar as it is, right? So this allows us to have some different options. And of course, the reason I do this is to really come up with simple ways to do meal prep, do some different things to help you stay healthy through the holidays. So that's what we're going to do today. So now, to get started with, I've got all the ingredients here. Like I said, it's going to take about 5 minutes. Let me show you what they're going to look like when we're done. Because I made a batch yesterday, benefit of staying in a hotel that has a kitchen. They turn out super, super nice. I mean, it's really easy. Now, they're not going to look as sticky and as messy as maybe some regular ones using sugar, but, it's always good to have options. So, first thing I'm going to do is I am going to use my favorite all-time cooking product, which is parchment paper. Keeps things from sticking. So I'm going to put that on my pan. Now, this is just so that I can lay it out after my pecans have done their thing. So I'm going to use a little bit of parchment paper, throw it on there so that it's ready to go. And of course it's going to roll on me, but that's okay. We will make it work. All right. So next step is I'm going to take, now again, I'm doing a half a batch just because I made a half a batch yesterday. It'll get eaten. Trust me, it'll get eaten at my house. But we're going to take, and I will post the full recipe so that you can make a little bit bigger batch than I am. I'm going to take a tablespoon and a half of unsalted butter. And I'm going to throw that into my pan that's already heating. And I know it's difficult to see here right now, but really it's just not that complicated. It's just going to take us a couple of minutes here. So I'm going to throw that in and allow that to melt. Okay. Now, I am going to give you a heads up on how I chose which sweetener that I'm going to use. So the recipe itself actually calls for a half a cup of granulated sugar substitute. There are some ways to convert that. I actually don't love the fact that most of the sugar substitutes contain erythritol. I don't like the flavor. I don't like how that tastes. I can handle stevia any day, but I just don't like how the erythritol tastes. Not only that, but too much of that can really give you some digestive distress and really mess with your microbiome. If you've never done that before, I don't recommend you try it. It's not fabulous. I've had multiple issues with that before. So I'm trying to stay away from some of the more granulated. Now, the granulated sugar substitute will turn out a little bit different in texture, so that might be a better option for you, especially if you want more of a crystallized form of this. But I am choosing to use something a little bit different. Today, I'm actually using stevia glycerite. You could use some liquid, but this is a little thicker. It's a little more concentrated. And realize you're not swapping half a cup for half a cup. This actually is only going to be a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half, believe it or not. It really doesn't take much because it's so concentrated and it's so sweet. And you have to be careful with that because you don't want it to taste like, you just don't. Now, if you are not used to stevia, you might not love the flavor. It takes a little while to get used to it. It took me a while. Now I prefer it over everything else. And yes, I can tell the difference. But I use stevia in my coffee at this point. So to this, we're actually going to add, and I did not pull it out yet. So let me find got this lovely little dishwasher here. Okay, I'm just going to measure out a cup of pecan halves. So you could use anything else. I just think the halves look a little nicer, a little more elegant than using chopped. Plus that I don't have to chop them, which is great. I know you can buy chopped, but for this, I actually prefer it to be the whole pecan. So I'm going to put a cup. Just measuring it out here. And considering I forgot my cup measure, it's a good thing the hotel has one. All right. So I'm going to put that into the melted butter. I'm going to let it toast just a little bit. But because I'm using the glycerite, I'm actually going to add that right now. About, like I said, half a teaspoon to 3/4 of a teaspoon. I actually want that to blend in a little bit with the butter before I put the pecans in there so it'll spread a little bit better. And it is starting to get hot, so we want to get those pecans in there. Okay, so I'm gonna throw the pecans in right now. I want them to just toast a little bit for a couple of minutes. So I'm just going to pretty much stir it the whole time. Just kind of get it coated with the butter. Now again, this isn't necessarily for somebody who's trying to do low fat. This is more low carb. If you're doing keto, not a huge fan of keto, guys. There really are some downsides. Now, some people would actually benefit greatly from that, and maybe even intermittent fasting. For those of us just trying to live a healthy lifestyle, not a huge fan of keto. You need a certain amount of carbs. Now, there's a difference between carbs and crap. Okay, just gonna put it that way. You know, a lot of us think we gotta cut out all carbs. You know, vegetables are carbs, guys. And there's a few carbs that aren't going to raise your blood sugar. The problem comes when we just eat so many carbs and such ultra processed food because it's so readily available these days. And yeah, I know it tastes good. There's a purpose behind that. You know that all those food companies have scientists trying to make it they call it the bliss point. It's where you can't stop eating it, so you want to purchase more, but it's perfect and it's not over the top, so it's too much. If you've ever had a dessert and you're like, oh, that is just too much sugar. Okay, so I'm just going to give that a couple of probably 2 to 3 minutes, kind of letting it. I'm doing this all on the stove top. You don't need to actually bake this, and really what takes the longest is letting it sit and cool. So that'll be, it really doesn't take long to do this. Okay, so to this, I'm going to add, I have to check my notes here because I reworked it so I knew how much to do a half batch. The cinnamon is 1 teaspoon. I'm actually going to do, just about a teaspoon. And I'm just kind of spreading it over my pecans. I know it's hard to see. This was the only angle I could get that was half decent lighting. And no, I did not bring my ring light with me, so wasn't going to use that. Okay, so to that, I'm just going to stir that up. To that, I'm actually going to add a half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. So I've got that good to go here. I love the smell of vanilla. Vanilla and cinnamon, I mean, what can get better over the holidays, right? So I'm going to add that to the concoction. You can kind of hear it there. Okay, stir that up. And then the only other thing that I need to add to that is a little bit, just a pinch of pink Himalayan salt. Because I've already used unsalted butter, I can add a little bit of this in. It just gives it a really nice, not overly sweet, kind of balances the sweet of the sugar substitute. So I'm actually just going to grind it into my hand. And that way I can control how much I put in it. So just putting a little bit of that in there. Mix up, make sure it's fully coated, and then honestly, I'm just gonna put it on my parchment paper, and that's all there is to it. And it tastes good. Again, you might have to practice with it. You guys, there's lots of recipes on Pinterest for this. All you have to do is type in sugar-free, or again, I usually type in keto as a word to just kind of figure out what's up there. Although, again, I don't tend to live the keto lifestyle. I find that for me, when I try to go completely carb-free, my body just, I feel sluggish. I really feel like I'm just really slow. My workouts get really, really lame. I just don't feel strong at all. So for me, that's not really my best option. And I love vegetables at this point. So I eat lots of cucumbers. All right, so that's pretty much it. I'm gonna turn this off. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on my parchment paper, and I'm just gonna let it sit. And that's all there is to it. You know, give it a good 5 to 10 minutes. Let it cool down a little bit. Don't pop it in your mouth as you go, because you're gonna burn your tongue. Okay, that's it. That's all there is to it. Let it sit. You don't have to chill it or anything, and then you can just put it, if you don't want to eat it all right now, just put it in an airtight Ziploc bag and store it until you need it. So, yeah. Okay. Again, sorry that we're so early today. I really didn't calculate well. It's cool. We just want to go home. So, have an incredible week, you guys. There will not be Meals with Melissa next weekend. We will be out of town again, and it's not going to really work out considering what I'm doing for the weekend. So there will be Q&A Wednesday night, so tune in. And you guys, I upload all of these to YouTube. You can always go back and watch every video that I've done. So if you missed something, didn't have time to hop on there, I post them, and then I actually upload them to my YouTube channel. So hop on there and subscribe and like it. Leave comments below if you have a question, or if you've tried something that works better. You know, sometimes, it takes a collective to figure it all out. Have an incredible weekend, you guys. And that is Meals with Melissa. Bye-bye now.